And so that when people share this, they really know the amount of experience that we have in the Eckerd organization. And people like Lynn Smith are hard to come by. Nearly 36 years of experience working with at-risk and troubled adolescent girls at Eckerd's E-Nini-Hassee. It truly is considered one of the foremost programs in the country, and she is considered one of the foremost experts in the country in gender-specific programming. Lynn joined E-Nini-Hassee as a youth counselor in 1985 and later received her master's degree in education with an emphasis in emotional disturbances from American University in Washington, D.C. Her natural leadership skills, compassionate nature, remarkable ability to connect and mentor troubled girls allowed her to quickly become the director at E-Nini-Hassee in 1994. As director, Lynn has guided E-Nini-Hassee to become one of the finest outdoor therapeutic schools for girls in the United States. Best practice treatment approaches and her leadership team to strengthen E-Nini-Hassee include competency focus modules, reflective practices, peer accountability and support, personal mastery activities that help the girls strengthen self-awareness, as well as evidence-based practices such as trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy, motivational interviewing, concepts from M.K. Mueller's 8 to Great approach to life change. Lynn is a certified reality therapy and choice therapy expert. Lynn, thank you so much for joining us today. We so appreciate you. And as I said, you are one of the rock stars at Eckerd Connects, and we are so honored to have you. So you need to unmute yourself.
Thank you.
There you go. Lynn Smith. Listen, thank you so much for joining us today. I want you to just take a few minutes, tell us about your program. 36 years. Wow. That boggles my mind. I've been here 16 months. And so, so tell us about your program. What's cooking there today? And you may want to talk about what was cooking there yesterday, but a few minutes.
Thank you, and thank you, Katie. So please bear with me. I'm a little nervous about doing this, but okay, to explain E-Nini-Hassee, like unless you've been here, it's a little bit difficult to put in words, but we've been here for 52 years. It is an outdoor therapeutic program. So really what that means is we live in the woods. We do everything in the woods. And again, unless you've actually seen it, sometimes it's very hard to believe. But, you know, when Mr. Eckerd opened this program, he had a concept that you take these young youth counselors who I see some of them, they're not young youth counselors anymore, but, you know, these young women who just graduated from college, and you put them in a small group of 10 to 12 girls, and you do life together. Like you do life together. And that really is at its simplicity, the model. It's residential, so it's 365 days a year, Christmas, sunshine in Florida, rain in Florida, cold in Florida, from the time the sun goes down till the time it comes up. We do life together. That is, in its simplest format, what camp is all about.
Yeah, I know when I first visited, first thing I said is, I could never do this.
I hear that a lot. But I do believe, you know, in all honesty, people do say, they come out here and they say, oh my goodness, I could not. My mother says that. I could not live with a group of 10 teenage girls. Again, and we don't do shift work, so it is living, showering, breakfast, you know, changing a Band-Aid, playing a group game, whatever it is, living with them 24 hours a day. But I tell you, when you come and you meet these girls, and they're just girls, they're just, kids that were born in a family or in a situation that they didn't have any control over. And I'll tell you, you would be surprised at how it touches your heart, and then you're able to do so much more than you ever believed you could do.
Tell me what it's like for a young lady that comes there. What's the first couple of weeks like? It's got to be really tough.
Oh, well, I would say most of them come in and say, "What the heck have I gotten myself into?" And they immediately begin begging their parents that, whatever I did wrong, or whatever was going on, I will do. I will never do that again. Just take me home. So and it is for the staff, the youth counselors. That I think it is a culture shock. It was for me. So yes, initially they're all like, I don't want to be here, and I'll do whatever I need to do to be able to go back home and not do this. Now, 15 months later, 9 months later, 2 years later, they're crying because they don't now want to go back home. But yes, those initial couple weeks, they are deer in the headlights.
Yeah, it's got to be so pretty special to see them make that turn. And as you said, learn and living with other people that they now have new family members.
Yes.
Not just the counselor, but sisters that they have to get along with and work with every day.
Absolutely. That was the original, we opened in 1969. So certainly social work and trauma and everything has progressed. But I think, Mr. Eckert had it right at the very beginning. It is through that family concept of living life together that change happens. It's not sitting in front of a podium speaking at kids. It's not lecturing them. It is doing life together, and the counselor grows as much as the kid grows, if not more. And I think he had it right. It is to learn, you have to do life together.
Talk to me about, now I know I have 3 sons. They're all grown, married. I've got 7 grandkids. It's not always a peaceful situation. Talk to
Never.
me about living with these girls. How does discipline happen? How does correction happen? How are lessons learned?
Yeah, trust me, there's always a fire burning. There's several fires burning and smoke, every day. Now certainly I'm 36 years later, I'm still here. So there's joy that is just immeasurable, but it's no different. And you just said you had 3 sons, or I look at the other members that are on there. You take your family and go, spend a month together. Well, COVID probably has made that happen for some of you all, and how quickly, just how somebody chews their food is getting on your nerves, or that they didn't pick up their socks in the bathroom. Well, doing that 365 days a year, yes, trust me, I'm on their nerves and they're on my nerves. But that's life. Our mission here, girls come to us from all venues. Some have some heavy duty substance abuse, or maybe they've been sexually abused, or anxiety, depression, family total dysfunction. But when the purpose of camp is that, they're going to live another 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years after camp. So camp's not about the 15-year-old that's doing heroin, or about the 17-year-old that is cutting on a wrist. The goal is that, how do these girls learn to navigate the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years? So yeah, that's why I sometimes just simply say we do life. The good time, they see me break down. They're like, Chief Joe, you look a little mad right now, because that is life. Like there's certainly no sugarcoating anything.
Good days and bad. That's how we grow.
Yes, yes, good days and bad. Sometimes good days and bad weeks, but we get through it.
Talk to me about, you mentioned Mr. Eckert a couple times, and there's a lot of people on this call just like me. We've only got to read about Jack and Ruth, and I know you worked with him firsthand. Talk to me about the family, what they mean to you, what impact he had on your life personally.
Ooh, that's a little bit of a. I knew you were going to ask that question, so I don't know why I just kind of had a ping in my heart. Yeah, I'm sure I'm. It's no different probably than you seeing somebody one way, and then I'm sure like his own family or his own business partners maybe saw a different side. But what I can tell you is through my time at camp, getting to spend time with Mr. and Mrs. Eckert, or we always called them Chief Jack and Chief Ruth, is they were always present. Like they were at first, when I first met them, I was, kind of nervous, thinking, oh my goodness, this is Eckerd Drugstores and this is Ruth Eckerd Hall and Eckerd College, but then I saw him and he's got on red pants and, a ball cap and, she's hugging you. And I think when I look back now at all my different times with them and in conversations, they just were always present. Like when you were in a room with them and Mrs. Eckerd would put her hand on your shoulder, like she knew me. And I think that he would just show up. Like it was no bells and whistles were definitely not their thing. And they would just show up and he would come in and say hi to the mom in the kitchen and then say, where's the group at? And go find them. And I think that is what I remember. I remember one time, and it was my first year as a director, we always had all the Florida camps come to E-Nini-Hassee for Christmas, and we'd always had hot dogs every year since I was a chief. And I'd become a director, and on a side note, Mr. Eckert interviewed all the directors. So I talked to all the other vice presidents and stuff, and then I had to go in his office and have a conversation with him about being a director. But it was my first Christmas, and I thought I was going to try to make this big impression. So I changed the menu and said, we're not going to have hot dogs, we're going to have fried chicken, which I look back now and think, okay, yeah, that was really not smart. Because my cooks hated me because we were frying chicken now. And he came up to me afterwards and he said, thank you, what a wonderful time he had. The girls sang beautifully. And he said, but next year I want hot dogs. And I was like, okay. So on his 90th birthday, we had his 90th birthday here and we had hot dogs. Hot dogs have a whole new meaning for me now. He just wanted hot dogs.
That was camp to him.
That
was camp to him.
We're going to have hot dogs.
Wow. Well, I know the girls, you and I have shared a couple times, and talk to me about some of the ladies. If you could pick one lady that was kind of this before and after story that was really just a transformational case that you could share. Is there one person that's top of mind like that to you that you could share a story? There's probably dozens.
Yeah, that's always such a hard, it's 36 years, so there's hundreds. And last January, I got together with some of the Eckerd family members, and we had a kid and a staff member from every generation, so 60s, 70s, all the way through. Some of those, I had never met before. And here's what I will tell you. In my heart, a girl who has come to camp and spent time in camp, they will never ever forget that, ever. And it will be the foundation for how they move on. So I met grandparents that not that they don't struggle after camp. Life happens, you know, hard times hit. Life happens after camp, but they will always keep that grain inside them about the lessons they learned here. A kid who I've had conversations with girls that unfortunately have ended up in prison, but you know what they'll tell me? They'll call me and they'll say, Chicho, when I was 15 and in camp, that was the best time of my life. You know, you're right. We had Chef Robert Hassee out here yesterday who was a camper, you know, 25, 30 years ago at one of the boys' camps. And he was in jail after camp and everything, but he came here yesterday and he's a brother to me. He is family because he speaks the same language. And what he'll say is, that was a seed that was planted. And even though life took me some turns after camp and I hit some hard times, it was the seed. It just took a while to bloom. And so they all have their successes. You know, the retired Air Force colonel, right? She's a glowing, you know, grandparent, but the single mom that's struggling still with 2 kids. But every day she's like, man, I learned this at camp. I can do this. I'm worthy and it's going to be hard times, but I can get through this. The funeral where it's a 19-year-old, but the mother has got the pictures of camp all around and she'll come to you and say, you know, these letters I got while she was in camp, that's my memory. That's what I'll hold on to. So I don't know. They're all successes to me.
I love the illustration that they're all flowers that bloom at different times.
Yes.
Not everybody's on the same timeline, are we?
No. A lot of stories haven't been, you know, their stories aren't done yet.
That is special. That is special. Well, it really is, and it's interesting just to see how that seed that you plant. You know, for some they bloom right away. For others, it might take, as you said, 5 years, 10 years when they've got kids of their own. But it is pretty neat to see how the lessons they're learning at the camp are applied into their life and the lives that they change after they leave there. Talk to me about programmatically. What's different in the program today than when you first started 36 years ago? What are there new technologies? Are there new strategies? Are there things that you've learned that you've done different today than at times in the past?
Oh, well, sure. You know, it's 2021. I got flush toilets now. You know, I didn't have them when I first started. You know,
Wait a minute, really?
no, I did not. So sure. There are, you know, I have kids come back now and they're like, you got a pool? You know, we swam at the back lake with duckweed. And I'm like, yeah. So some of that certainly has changed, but not the core. Not the core. I believe that Chief Jack could walk in, you know, walk down those woods today, and he'd be like, "Yep." I say that I look at some of the chiefs that have been gone for a while. They'll walk right back here, and they'll be like, "Yep, it's the same." It's like going to your grandmother's house, even though she's repainted maybe, and she's got a new bedspread on the bed, and maybe she's trying to cook with, you know, kale and avocados now, but it's your grandma's house, and you know it's the same. The model,
The core is the same.
the core, the core is the same. It's hard work. It's hard for the kids. It's hard. They're every move they make, you know, that we live with them. It's hard. It's hard for the staff. You know, there isn't, let me just come and do a job and then go home and have this other life. No, it's hard. I say that's one of our core values is we do hard things. And that is, because you're going to do hard things the rest of your life. So yeah, I have flush toilets and a pool now, and I, I have avocados and kale. Uh, but the core is the core.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Talk to me about programmatically. Are there um, goals wise? I mean, do you have are there different goals? Are you restructuring programmatically? Are there programmatically, what's going on in 2021 that's different than 20 or 19?
Well, I pray we don't have COVID as much as we've had last year. But yeah, it's I think every year it gets, we're not governmentally funded like many of the other Eckerd programs. So I'm by word of mouth, we're getting referrals, but I have to pay for that. Um, so it every year it's the need is greater every year with teenage girls. Um, us trying to figure out how we can fund that every year gets greater. Youth counselors, like we had. I mean, that's a college graduate who, instead of choosing to go into a school system where she's making, $40,000 and having her summers off, she chooses to come work with me, where she gets hardly no time off, and she's living with 10 teenagers, and she's loving it. Like, that's always harder and harder every year to find those young people that are willing to put their life on hold for the greater good of a kid that just didn't have a chance. Uh, I have 840 acres. I'm a 52-year-old program. So, yeah, I can paint a coat on some things, but if you look too closely at it, you're going, okay, what's underneath that? There's only so many pictures we can hang on the wall to cover up stuff. So yeah, again, there's always a fire. There's always needs the issues. I mean, just you think of this past year and you think, well, it was just COVID. Well, no, it was COVID. It was certainly some racial discord in our country. Then we went through an election process that these kids were like, okay, what? And then a storming of a Capitol. Like, again, we all lived that together because it impacted every single one of these kids. It brought up more trauma for them. It brought up confusion. I'm preaching of how we can show grace, and they're looking and saying, okay, wait a minute, what do y'all do? Like, I'm confused. Um, Mothers lost their jobs. Staff members and kids had people pass away. So, yeah, I will tell you, I look forward every year. New students are going to come in, but yeah, there's the whole other side of my desk, or that you don't see. That's like, okay, here's all the issues we got to figure out somehow. But God is good. We will muddle through.
So many changes and needs. You touched on some real things here. And we've got some supporters on the phone today. There'll be some that watch this by recording. I just think of some of the things you've mentioned just now, whether it's scholarship assistance for some girls that really need to be there, but their family can't afford it. I think of staffing, to be able to have staff and be able to pay them a wage that you can recruit the right kind of talent. Then there's the physical things. I mean, you kind of said tongue in cheek about a new coat of paint, but that costs money.
Yes. Yeah. My maintenance guy just like bought air conditioner filters, and I was like, holy cow, at my house I have one, and here we have 50 air conditioner filters. So yes, there's always a need.
There's always things they could help with.
Absolutely.
And I know that with COVID, we've had to be real careful about having donors or sponsors or supporters out through the camp. But but if somebody wanted to reach you about helping you with some of these needs, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, hey, we have 840 acres. I can stay 6 feet away from you, believe me. So, yeah, it's call. I mean, and some of it is certainly financial. I mean, it's the same amount. But I don't know with 30 teenage girls, I can give them a hat during the winter, in November, and the second week they're like, I don't know where my hat is. Like I lost my hat. So they're financial, but it's prayers. It's maybe you have a resource that I don't know about. So it's all different kinds of things. I mean, we're the mom and pop shop trying to do the right thing, for the right reason, and so anybody on this call, you can help, and I'll take it.
Well, I know that there's donors that are going to step up and continue to help. So Lynn, and we're just so blessed by the people that have come alongside of us, and we want to try and reach out, identify sponsors, identify people that would help underwrite your program. And if you're out there and what Jolene's talking about has touched your heart, whether you've ever been to E-Nini-Hassee or not, I just hope you'll email us or call us, and reach out to us, let us know. Jolene, your website, what's the best way to reach you? Through the website, through an email?
Yeah, either way, the website is EckerdHelpsCats.com, and you can see about it. Email me at jsmith, that's an easy one, jsmith@eckerd.org. Right, you can take a drive out here to Floral City. You probably don't know where that is, but your GPS will bring you to it. So yeah, anything, feel free to contact us.
Great. Well, I have typed your email into the comments. I kind of want to take just a minute. I know you mentioned COVID. How did that impact you last year? How did it impact how you had to care for the girls? I know in some cases you even had to kind of limit the number of or any new folks that wanted to attend the camp during the spike of COVID. Talk to me about that. People are posting comments. Can't wait to bring back the spaghetti dinner.
Oh, yeah.
And the fish fry.
Yeah, we didn't even have those. I in all my years here, I've often said, boy, there's I'm never going to say that this is a new one, and so when COVID first came, like our principal sharing with the kids, and so there was things on the screen, the news articles, but they were far away, and she really helped our girls and our staff about what was going on. And then slowly, then all of a sudden it was here, and you started hearing about it. And yeah, I tell the girls now, older, and the pandemic is, talked about, that they're going to be able to say, well, I was 15 in camp when that happened. This is what we did. On some level, we were more, right? We were out here in the woods. It was hunky dory. We were still getting our food, and we had toilet paper, so we were fine. But then the months started stress, and it started to impact of our girls' families. And usually we try to get the girls home for about once every 8 weeks for a couple of days so they can practice what they've learned. But we weren't able to do that. So I literally had were new admissions right before COVID. It was 6-7 months before they ever saw their family. And those people who know camp or know me, like technology is not, like we're not good with that. You know, I can yell through the woods for you. I run down there and see you, but we had to figure out how to do Zoom. Uh, we had to figure out how to do a lot of things remotely that we had never ever had to face before. Um, and the health then we had to cut off everything, and because we live in a community and our community views us as communal living, so we had to follow many of their standards. So it then it started to hit us like, okay, now we can't get chicken, and uh-oh, now we can't get this or that. But you know, people came through. Like it's always interesting going through something and then getting past it and then going back and looking at it. You're like, I don't know how we did it, but the kids were safe. Their families were so appreciative of us keeping them. The kids handled, okay, we can't have homestay. Oh, sorry, no spaghetti dinner. Oh, sorry, can't go out in the community and do this. Oh, sorry, we have no chicken. But they just, you know, they amazed me. They amazed me. Our staff, we told them, our youth counselors, you know, a lot of youth counselors take this job in Florida because it's Florida, right? We get to go to the beaches, go to Orlando, and I'm saying, no, you have to stay here, and I'll buy some, you know, sorry games or some card games, but y'all, you know, no beaches, no clubs, no, you know, you got to stay here. And I don't know. I look back and again, they amaze me. They worked long hours. No, we got through it, and the kids learned. They learned so much. It was it's still a teachable thing. Life is bigger than whatever you're going through right now, and there's a whole world out there. And you know, even in our darkest days, there was hundreds of things we could be grateful for.
Wow. It's inspirational just to see how your staff, your team, the kids, their families, pulled together and got through a really, really tough time. Now, I know we're not completely over it yet. It sounds like we're still in this for 3, 4, 5 months. But I'm just so proud of you all. Um, I know that we've had some donors step up and do some things, and you know, I'm excited about the support recently. I know the technology area in the computer lab that folks have been stepping up and supporting, and there's still some needs there. And so, you know, if you haven't given to the computer lab yet, you know, we kind of, I won't say underestimated, but initially put out there just the very minimum that we needed. If you'd like to help us with the computer lab, there's still some things that Ray Wright, our Chief Technology Officer, and Joe Lynn have identified that need to be procured for the girls. Technology is so important, especially with COVID right now. And of course, you know, it is, you know, how the girls go. One of the key ways they go to school, right, is on those computers. And so again, I just wanted folks to know, I know that we've had a few gifts coming in over the last week. Some folks have called and said and asked, are all the computer needs met? The biggest part is, but no, we still have some needs that we need to raise some support for. And I just wanted to mention that, Jolene. If you could take just a minute and talk about how important these computers are to your staff and the girls.
Well, again, like you said, how things are changed. You know, when I was a chief, our education was you know, very, very minimal. Like you know, but we are a school. Like we are a school. I have my own principal. Everything is within camp. So my own healthcare, so education, we have our own teachers. And, you know, certainly one of the things we've learned is these girls are going to go back to school, and schools are advancing. And so they have to know how to write an essay. I have a 17-year-old that's functioning at a 5th grade level, but I might have a 15-year-old that is taking AP biology. And for parents and for the girl, I need to progress the lower functioning kids as quickly as we can. And the beautiful thing is I have all day to do it. All weekend, I have plenty of time to do it, but I also have to keep those higher level. I've got kids taking Spanish, like I said, AP biology, economics, algebra. So we do, and I don't even remember how we ended up. Some years back, it was, oh, let's get some computers and put them in here. Well, I'm always like, yes, that's great, we'll do it. Well, what I didn't realize is, okay, at some point computers get out of date, and now I got to replace them. Well, okay, that didn't fathom. So yeah, we run on an average about 30 girls, and I had about 8 computers that worked. And so we put in a request for computers, but we're still sharing and moving them, which then again, sometimes it's like, okay, where did I put that computer? So that's what we're trying to do, is get the education where these computers are for the girls. So that we have state mandated testing that we have to do because we are a school. So that need is still there, that just because a girl is having problems, their education, we should be still at the same high level and providing the resources so that when these girls do go back to school, they're right in line with the rest of the students.
Yeah, I just want to underscore, I mean, if you're out there and you've got a business, Jolene's point is so important. A computer lab, a learning lab, the technology is only good for 24 months at best. The technology changing so fast, and the Wi-Fi speeds that you have to have changes so much from year to year. And you got about 2 years, and again, with the amount of use these computers are getting, all this technology equipment that we're getting now is going to need to be replaced in 24 months. And what we have right now is not enough. They're sharing equipment just to get the needs met. And so again, we're hoping that there might be some folks that have companies that might just want to underwrite each year sponsoring the Learning Lab. And so if you're out there, you've got a business, again, you could, as Jolene has offered, even in COVID, we can maintain social distancing. If you want to come see the computer lab, if you want to see the camp, I can't tell you how much it will help you to see it physically, what Jolene is talking about. And all you got to do is reach out, and we'll make a way for you to see that and be part of that. But we're really hoping, and again, maybe you don't have the resources to help sponsor our computer lab or our technology needs, but you might know somebody that does. And so your referrals could mean a whole lot to Jolene and her team. So be thinking about that. I know, Jolene, while you've been talking, lots of people have been comments, smiles, winks, waves, all this technology stuff. I just kind of want to open it up. If you've got a question for Jolene, I'd like you to shout it out. And maybe you don't have a question. Maybe you just have a comment about Jolene or E-Nini-Hassee. People would like to hear it, and I know it would bless Jolene to hear it. So again, all you got to do now, I told you at the beginning to mute your mic. Now I want you to unmute your mic and give Jolene a shout out. Would anybody like to do that here today? This is like pulling teeth, getting people to, okay, I'll say something. Come on. Give me, it's going to be the first.
Shout out to Jolene.
All right, Stanley.
Jolene's amazing. I put it in the comment box so people can read it, but I really encourage anybody who can just to talk to Jolene. If you can't go out to E-Nini-Hassee, which now, I know with COVID and all the restrictions, you can't really do all that. But it reorients you to the soul of what we do. Sometimes we get far away from that behind computers and reports and data and census and things like that. But just to talk to her, or I don't know if Gail is still out there too, but just to hear about where we came from as an organization and kind of carry that with you as you do your work from day to day. There's going to be distractions and problems and things like that, but I think I reflect on that a lot when I get a little frustrated. So just thank you for what you do, Jolynn, and can't wait to see you again.
I love you, buddy.
Love you too.
All right, Stanley can't be the only one.
Hey, my name is Stephanie. I don't mind to talk. Jolynn, I mean, like, high fives all around. I was the chief in the woods over at E-Kasumi back in the early 2000s. It's funny because Brian Matlock, who's also on the line, actually trained my Catatogas. I did what, you know, it's funny when you mentioned the pool. I did my swim training in your pool, so that's I think. Yeah, I didn't pass, but that's okay. I had to have somebody else there at the lake because in North Carolina we didn't have a pool. I really enjoyed the spaghetti dinner. I was able to go a couple years ago with another friend of mine who actually works for Eckerd at like the corporate level. But I mean, I've always been a fan of Eckerd. We're adoptive parents of 2 kids from kids at Eckerd. I continue to try to work with the employees, doing financial education stuff with the team all the way around. I mean, I could not be more excited to be a part of this family. And, thank you for continuing to be here after 30 plus years. I only lasted 2. So, absolutely amazing. And thank you. And I want to reiterate everything that everybody else has said. If you are an employee of Eckerd, if you're not an employee of Eckerd, if you're a donor, if you want to be a donor, you have to get out there and see what camp is like, guys. To see how these girls interact with adults and the things that they are learning to live within their limits and boundaries out there in the woods is something for us to be admired. And Jolynn, when you had said that like camp is something that these girls will continue to look back on, I'm 40 years old. I was in my 20s when I was at camp, and that is still to this day the foundation of how I raise my children, how I do my job. So everybody, if you have an opportunity to get out there, please go and take it. And while you're there, open your wallet.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you.
All right, who's next? Brian's already been called out. He's not going to respond. Anybody else?
I'll go real quick. My name is Katie, and I'm very grateful to be a part of this and also the organization for Eckerd as well too. I love camp. I worked at the camp for a little over 3 years and had the best time ever. It's so funny because I, just like what Stephanie was saying, I still play the games because I work with youth right now, and I'm like, oh, let's play Star Wars and just play different games with them. So I've constantly learned new things. And what is awesome about camp, and Chief Joe was saying it earlier as well, that it is like your grandma's house. That's the perfect analogy, because I've been back numerous times and I come back and I'm like, I'm here. And Chief Stacy is like, there are leftovers in the fridge for you. And I'm say thank you. And Chief Gale is more than happy to welcome me back. And it really is a home. It is an amazing place to work, an amazing place to learn. The girls might not want to be there for X amount of months. However, they do learn, and they might be playing it off that they don't want to be there, but they do appreciate what they have learned, and they still stay in contact with numerous campers that have graduated that have really just taken what you are taught. And what I think is cool about camp is that you learn as a counselor there, you learn just as much about yourself as the girls learn about themselves. You learn coping skills, you learn how and the importance of positivity. You do learn incredible skills from 8 to Great, but it is also a mentoring place as well too. So you learn from Chief Joe, from Miss Holly, from Chief Gail, just everyone. So it is an amazing place that it's very hard to leave, and you always want to go back and smile too. So thank you very much for doing this, and thanks, Chief Joe. It's good to see your smiling face.
Good to see you too, baby.
Okay, so hello, Chief Joe.
Hello, Chief.
So I think like everything you've said it, and like what Chief Katie like hit the bat, like everything that said everything that I was gonna say. But I think like camp has definitely prepared me staying with Eckerd as a case manager, because I've learned everything at camp, and now I'm taking it with me with staying with Eckerd. So I think like it is a big organization that can take you anywhere. And I think like those learning about yourself, learning about the kids, keeping in contact, like I got letters from campers there right now, keeping contact with them. It's just really good to keep in contact and see like what they can do, and then how they can get home to what they want to do down the road. So, and the computer lab thing is definitely like having kids on virtual school, or having a movie on Friday nights, and then you have 4 kids that need a computer. So it's just very crucial to hear that, because I've had kids, so many kids on virtual classes, and it's hard because you have to like share computers for 20-15 minutes where they have like a 2-hour exam that they need to complete. So camp has definitely done a lot, and I'm definitely wanting to go back when COVID's over, and looking forward to spaghetti dinner and fish fry when they happen again.
Thanks, Chief.
Jolynn.
Hey, sweet lady.
Hey, sweet lady, you. It makes me think about going back to when they were first building the camps, and we were all young. Remember that? And it's just been amazing to see what you have done, and that you have real bathrooms.
Yeah.
All of those things. I mean, I think I speak for the family also, that we just can't imagine what you've been going through these last months, and all of the things in your letter that you described with the politics and everything. It's got to be just very mind-blowing.
Yes,
And we
ma'am.
appreciate you and the leadership you've given to that camp for so many years. And we always want to come back.
I love you, lady. I love you.
Well, I'll just say a quick thing. Sorry, I'm having to deal with work calls. I'm a court counselor supervisor. I'm Brian Matlock. I'm a supervisor with juvenile justice in North Carolina, which we still have Eckerd 2 camps up here, but it ain't what they used to be. They live in dorms now and everything. It's not quite the same as old camp. But anyway, loved my experience, and almost Jolynn was going to be my boss.
Yes.
So close. And Art Rosenberg tricked me.
Yes.
Got me up to North Carolina, and well, let's just say it was not as pretty when I got up there, but great experience. And so glad to see you still around. And I will get down there once everything settles down. I'm going to come back and visit.
Thank you, sweetie.
Anybody else? Well, this has just touched my heart, Jolynn. It is so special to have people like you on our team, and to learn from you, from your experience, to just hear about the young people's lives that you're changing, to think about the hundreds, if not thousands, of people that are impacted by these flowers that are blooming all over.
Yes.
All over Florida, all over the Southeast, all over the country.
Yes.
That have come through the camp, all blooming in their own time, as God has prepared, but with that seed that you planted. Thank you so much for all you do. We so appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you. You all have a beautiful day, and you are deeply loved. To all you people who are on the phone, like you are, you're here for a reason. And, I pray you have a great week, and again, just thank you for who you are, and we'll get together again soon.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Next week, don't miss it, Jody Roberts from Louisiana. So we'll see you next Wednesday at Lunch and Learn. Thanks for joining us this week. Thank you, Lynn Smith. We appreciate you and Camp E-Nini-Hassee.
Thank you.